Hi, today we're going to be answering a question from our Research Like a Pro with DNA study group. And the question is about Y DNA testing. Should I test my cousin's Y DNA? And I thought this was a great question because it's so important to consider the different tests that could be relevant to our objective. And so here's the question. My mother's parents had two children, a male and a female, my mother. My mother had five daughters, me, the eldest. The one son had one son, a first cousin to me and my sisters. My research objective is to find the parents of my maternal great grandmother, who is her parents' only child. My cousin has agreed to do a DNA test. I've sent him an ancestry test. Should I also send him a Y-DNA test from Family Tree DNA? So it's really good to be thinking about, okay, I'm testing my cousin, maybe Y-DNA would be applicable. To figure out the answer to this question, I had to map things out to just really be able to show it. And so let's start with this first part. My mother's parents had two children, a male and a female. So here's the question asker and her mother. And the next part of the question is the one son had one son, a first cousin to me and my sister. So we have the common ancestors between her and her cousin, who is a male. And so here's the grandparents. And then the next part of the question was, my research objective is to find the parents of my maternal great grandmother, who is her parents' only child. So here we have the maternal grandmother, and the objective is to figure out who are these parents of the maternal grandmother. So now, is the Y DNA of the first cousin going to be relevant to that objective? So as you can see, the first cousin inherited his Y chromosome from his father, which is the testator's uncle, and the uncle inherited his Y chromosome from his father, the maternal grandfather. Now, since our research objective is focused on finding the parents of our maternal grandmother who didn't have a Y chromosome, she did not pass on a Y chromosome to her grandson. She has two X chromosomes. And so the Y chromosome from her father was not passed on to anyone because in the question we learned that this maternal grandmother was the only child. This is what we call daughtering out. If a man has no male children, only a daughter, then his Y chromosome isn't passed on. Now, this Y line from him, I gave a green color to indicate that it could probably, most likely, is a different Y chromosome than this blue one. Even if they're in the same haplogroup, probably has a different haplotype, a different unique set of STRs. So because this man did not pass on his Y chromosome, we cannot test anyone to help us with this question. And when you have a research question involving the parents of a woman, you can really only use the other types of DNA. Y DNA just is not applicable because she didn't inherit a Y chromosome. So we can do other types of testing. We can do autosomal, as you have said. So testing your first cousin for his autosomal DNA will be applicable to both sides of the family that you're interested in. Since these are your common ancestors with your first cousin, then his autosomal DNA will help you with all research questions on the maternal grandfather's side and the maternal grandmother's side within the range of the capabilities of autosomal DNA. Now, to find evidence for the father and the mother, you'll be using autosomal DNA, but also you could look at xDNA, and she inherited xDNA from her father and her mother, which she then passed on that xDNA to both her daughter and her son. However, the xDNA wouldn't have been passed to this cousin because he only inherited a Y chromosome from the father and not an X chromosome. So you can use your own X matches to help with this research question, but not your male cousin's X matches. So I hope that helps answer the question. So to summarize, our suggestions are, for an objective about your maternal grandmother's parents, Y DNA will not help. But if you want to research your maternal grandfather's line, then yes, test your first cousin's Y DNA. So his Y-DNA will help you with any research question about this Y line going back to the father, father, father. So it's great to think about testing Y-DNA, and I hope that was helpful.